Close your eyes and see not with the eyes in your head, but the eyes of spirit. Feel not the lack of money, but the presence of wealth. There is no power outside of you bringing riches or withholding them. You are the center from which all money must flow. The one secret the world does not teach is this: you do not attract wealth by chasing it. You attract it by becoming it, by embodying the state of wealth within long before your senses confirm it. You must live as though it is already so. Not one day, not someday. If you had the money today, if your bank account overflowed and your needs were already met, how would you walk? How would you speak? How would you feel lying in your bed at night? That is the feeling you must assume now. Because it is not the world that gives you money. It is your assumption of wealth that creates the world to match. Stop asking how it will come. That is not your part. Infinite intelligence will take care of the path. Your only task is to persist in the assumption that it is already done. The one who assumes lack sees only delay. The one who assumes abundance sees evidence unfolding quietly, perfectly, invisibly at first, then suddenly. Repetition is your secret weapon. Each day, repeat the inner vision of the life you desire, not with strain, but with certainty, not with begging, but with belief. Repetition impregnates the subconscious, and the subconscious molds reality in the image of your belief. And when the vision is clear and your heart knows it is yours, give thanks. Gratitude is the song of the fulfilled. When you feel gratitude before the money arrives, it arrives swiftly. Why? Because your gratitude signals completion. It is already yours. So tonight, before sleep, dwell not on the bills, dwell not on the doubt. Dwell on the unseen riches already yours in imagination. Claim them as your own. You do not manifest money. You manifest the state of being wealthy, and that state outpictures itself as money. It is already done. It is already yours. You do not wait for money to come to feel wealthy. You feel wealthy and then money must come. This is not a poetic suggestion, but a fundamental law of consciousness. The mistake most people make is living reactively, allowing the outer world to dictate their inner state. But the truth is simple. Your outer world is a mirror, reflecting back the state you consistently dwell in. If you wait for external proof to feel successful, rich, or abundant, you will wait forever. But the moment you assume the inner state of financial abundance, without needing the evidence, everything begins to shift in your favor. You must understand that reality is shaped by what you are conscious of being. If you feel poor, if you feel lack and constantly talk about not having enough, you are impressing lack into the subconscious. The subconscious never argues. It only accepts and expresses what you persistently believe to be true. So when you assume the feeling of already being financially supported, when you move through your day with the knowing that you are already wealthy, you are planting the seed of abundance. And once the seed is planted, it must grow. This feeling is not about pretending. It is not fantasy or illusion. It is the deliberate acceptance of a new state of being. You are choosing to align yourself with a version of you who already lives in the reality you desire. That version exists now in imagination, and as you identify with it and feel the emotional truth of it, you draw it into the world of form. This is the true meaning of manifestation. Not hoping, not striving, but assuming the state as though it were already true. Ask yourself, how would I feel if I already had the financial freedom I desire? What thoughts would no longer occupy your mind? What emotions would be present in your body? What level of peace, confidence, and certainty would you walk with? Feel those answers deeply and let them settle into your being. Let them become familiar. Do not visit them, live in them. The world may still show you your current bank balance, unpaid bills or obligations, but you must not react. You must remain faithful to the unseen. Just as a seed takes time to become a tree, your inner assumption takes time to outpicture itself fully, but it will, without fail, if you do not waver. Do not ask, where is it? Instead, rest in the feeling that it is already done. There is nothing to chase. There is nothing to force. You are not drawing money from outside of yourself. You are unlocking it from within. Abundance is a vibration, a frequency, and when you live in that frequency, you become magnetic to everything that matches it. Circumstances will shift, ideas will appear, opportunities will unfold. But it begins with one choice: to feel abundant now, before the world reflects it. That feeling is the cause. The outer is merely the effect. Money is not outside of you. You are not dependent on the external world to bring you wealth, nor are you at the mercy of circumstances, people, or chance. The truth is simple, yet often overlooked. You are already the source of wealth. Not your job, not your investments, not your business, but you. Everything you see in your external life is a reflection of your inner state, and when you come to recognize yourself as the operant power, the one who causes things to be, your relationship with money transforms entirely. You were never meant to chase after riches. You were meant to awaken to the understanding that riches flow from consciousness. The infinite supply already exists within you as potential. You are the storehouse of all riches, not because of effort, but because of awareness. It is your self-concept, your persistent inner assumption, that dictates how much or how little flows into your life. And this is why two people in the same city with the same background can experience two vastly different realities. Because one has assumed wealth within, and the other still believes it lies outside of them. You cannot manifest something you believe is separate from you. If you believe money is out there, you will continue to live in a state of lack. But the moment you realize that your imagination, your belief, and your feeling of already possessing wealth are the very forces that create your financial reality, you take back your power. You begin to live not as a beggar, but as a creator. And the creator does not chase. He simply imagines, feels, and knows that what he assumes must come to pass. Do not look to the world to give you permission to feel abundant. Instead, turn inward and ask, what am I assuming about myself right now? If you feel unworthy, if you feel limited, if you feel that wealth belongs only to others, then those assumptions will be made manifest. But if you assume yourself to be the source, if you begin to feel the richness of life flowing from within you, then your world will shape itself around that internal truth. There is no power outside you that grants or denies prosperity. That power is within, and it responds to your every belief and assumption. Your consciousness is the soil, and your thoughts and feelings are the seeds. Plant the seed of abundance. Nurture it with gratitude, confidence, and quiet inner knowing. Do not check the ground every day to see if it's growing. Trust that it is. Trust that it already has. Wealth is not a matter of action alone. It is a matter of being. Embody the one who already has. Speak like the one who already knows. Move like the one who already is. When you realize that money is simply one of the many expressions of your state of consciousness, you stop asking for it and you start allowing it. It flows not to the needy, but to the one who already feels complete. You are the source, and that truth is your greatest fortune. To truly manifest wealth, you must live from the end, not toward it. Most people desire money as something far away, something to be earned, chased, or acquired through effort. But desire, when felt as separation, only reinforces the gap between you and what you seek. When you desire money as something distant, you are affirming its absence. You are vibrating with lack. and lack only multiplies in your experience. The key is to reverse this entirely, to imagine and feel that what you want is already yours. You must inhabit the state of the wish fulfilled. Living from the end means you no longer hope, wish, or wonder. You no longer ask, when will it come or how will it happen, because you already know it has happened. You walk, talk, think, and feel from the position of one who already possesses what they once sought. Your desires are no longer goals, they are memories. You are not striving for them, you are remembering them into form. This shift is not about pretending. It is not about acting like something is true while secretly believing it is not. It is about genuinely identifying with the version of yourself that already has what you desire. If wealth were already yours, how would you feel? How would you move through your day? What would you no longer worry about? What would you enjoy more deeply? These are the questions that bring you into alignment with your vision. The imagination is not a place of fantasy, it is the workshop of creation. When you enter the scene in your mind and live in it as real, you are creating spiritual facts that must objectify themselves in the physical world. You do not need to figure out how. The how belongs to a higher intelligence, and it will orchestrate the perfect sequence of events. Your job is to remain faithful to the end state, to dwell in the feeling that it is already so. So many people sabotage their manifestation by constantly revisiting the old state, the state of lack, of not yet. They look at their bank account and judge the vision by appearances. But appearances are only echoes of past assumptions. If you want to change the outer, you must remain loyal to the inner reality you've chosen. The outer will catch up, but only if you don't abandon the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Every time you affirm it is done, you are strengthening the new state. Every time you choose peace over panic, certainty over doubt, gratitude over fear, you are living from the end. And this end is not someday far off in the distance. It is now. Time is not the barrier you think it is. What you accept as true now, with feeling and persistence, becomes your world. Live not in the waiting, but in the having. Let your inner world mirror the life you wish to experience, and soon your outer world will reflect it perfectly. Because what you accept inwardly must become fact outwardly. It is already yours. Live like it. Do not burden yourself with the question of how your wealth will appear. That is not your responsibility. The moment you set your desire in motion by imagining its fulfillment, you have initiated a process far more intelligent and far-reaching than the human mind can grasp. To try and manipulate the method, to force the outcome by logic or effort, is to mistrust the very power that brings all things into being. Your task is not to plan or predict. Your task is to feel, to believe, and to allow. Detachment from the how is not indifference, it is confidence. It is the quiet, steady knowing that what you have imagined is already established in the unseen. You do not plant a seed and then dig it up every hour to see if it's growing. You plant it, water it with faith, and trust nature to do what it has always done. In the same way, you must trust the laws of consciousness. You must trust the invisible process that always brings the inner into the outer when left undisturbed. The greatest interference to manifestation is doubt disguised as reasoning. You imagine wealth and then cancel it with thoughts like, but I don't see a way, or no one in my family has ever been rich, or I don't have the right background. These statements are not facts. They are limitations formed by past assumptions. Infinite intelligence knows no limits. It does not need conditions, credentials, or connections. It needs only your belief. You are not responsible for the bridge of incidents that leads to your manifestation. You are responsible only for the state you dwell in. If you continue to assume the feeling of already having, then life will reconfigure itself to match your new state. People, places, and events will be moved like pieces on a chessboard, not by you, but by the unseen hand that shapes all reality. This intelligence is subtle, precise, and beyond comprehension. It always knows the shortest, most harmonious path. But it cannot act freely if you constantly interfere with fear, impatience, or doubt. Let go of the need to control. You are not the architect of the process. You are the dreamer of the reality. You see the end, you feel it real, and you rest in the knowing that what is felt with conviction must be made visible. Detachment is not laziness. It is supreme power. It is the posture of one who understands that the unseen is more real than the seen. Refuse to entertain thoughts of how it might happen. Each time your mind drifts into worry or over-analysis, bring it back to the feeling. Anchor yourself in the state of the wish fulfilled. Let the how be none of your concern. The means will come through channels you cannot predict, and often when you least expect it. Keep your eyes off the clock, your hands off the controls, and your heart steady in faith. It is coming because it is already done. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the dominant pictures you hold within. Every condition, every circumstance, every so-called fact in your external life is born first in imagination. It begins as thought, is nourished by feeling, and is made solid by repetition. You cannot experience wealth if your inner vision is saturated with lack. You cannot live in abundance while mentally rehearsing limitation. The law is simple. What you persist in imagining with feeling must, in time, express itself as your reality. Repetition is the language of the subconscious. It does not respond to momentary wishes or fleeting hopes. It responds to what is impressed upon it deeply and often. If day after day you return to the image of yourself as financially secure, prosperous, and at peace, that image begins to take root. It grows quietly, invisibly, until it takes form in your life. This is not fantasy. It is spiritual law. Wealth begins with the inner picture you hold of yourself. Not with your job, not with your bank account, not with the opinions of others. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, who is unworthy, who never has enough, then that vision will continue to play out like a script you forgot you wrote. But if you revise that inner story, if you start to consistently see yourself as one who is blessed, provided for, and free, then your outer world must rearrange itself to match. Emotion is the fuel of manifestation. A dry mechanical affirmation will not impress the subconscious. But when you feel what you imagine, when you inwardly rejoice in the life you are creating, you set in motion forces far beyond what you can comprehend. The subconscious does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. It only knows what you feel to be true, and it will faithfully reproduce that truth in your world. This is why repetition is so powerful. Each time you return to your vision, you make it more familiar. You remove resistance. You build belief. You are not trying to convince the world, you are convincing yourself. And once you are convinced, the world will follow. Because your world is yourself pushed out. Do not be discouraged if results do not appear immediately. Seeds take time to grow. But if you continue to dwell upon the inner image with faith and emotion, it must become your reality. Do not waver, do not give in to the temptation to return to old assumptions. Instead, make your vision your dwelling place. Visit it so often that it becomes more real to you than what your senses report. Wealth is not a chase, it is a state. And the more you revisit that state within, the more it becomes natural. When it becomes natural, it becomes inevitable. So repeat your vision, not with effort, but with joy. Repetition is creation. Feel it real again and again until the outer world has no choice but to conform. Gratitude is not something you do to make things happen. It is what flows naturally when you know they already have. It is not a tool to get, but a sign that you have received. When you give thanks from the deep inner awareness that your desire is already fulfilled, you are aligning yourself with the highest creative force in existence. Gratitude is the spiritual signature of completion. It is the vibration that seals the manifestation. When you imagine your desire and then give thanks for it, not because you hope it will come, but because you know it already is, you close the circuit. You have received the inner reality, and the outer must follow. Gratitude from this place is not effort. It is a quiet joy. It is peace. It is stillness. It is a resting in the knowing that all is well and unfolding perfectly. Most people wait until they see evidence before they feel grateful, but by doing so, they delay the manifestation. They remain in a state of waiting, and waiting only perpetuates itself. The secret is to feel the reality of your desire so vividly that gratitude arises effortlessly. You are not thanking life to make it happen. You are thanking because it has happened. In consciousness, and consciousness is always the cause. Gratitude in advance is faith in action. It says, I trust the unseen. I believe in what I have imagined. I know that what I have felt is already on its way. This type of gratitude is powerful beyond measure because it demonstrates complete alignment with your desire. It shows that you have let go of doubt, let go of how and when, and have embraced the truth of the wish fulfilled. In this state, you are no longer pleading, asking, or begging. You are receiving. You are harmonizing with the vibration of already having. And that is the exact frequency that draws the physical manifestation to you. It is done in spirit, and spirit always precedes form. Practice giving thanks as though the money is already in your hands, as though the opportunities are already unfolding, as though the support, the freedom, the abundance you long for is already part of your life experience. Feel the relief. Feel the ease. Let your body relax as though you've already received what you once hoped for. This is not fantasy, it is creative faith, and gratitude is the evidence of that faith. Even before the outer signs appear, let gratitude be your dwelling place, let it be your response to life. The more you live in thankfulness, the more life will give you reasons to be thankful. Gratitude opens the heart, calms the mind, and aligns the soul with all that is good. It completes the act of creation, not because it earns the result, but because it confirms it. So give thanks now, not because you must, but because you know it is done. Gratitude is the final word, the sacred whisper that tells the universe, I have received. You do not attract money by chasing it. You attract it by being the version of yourself who already has it. All wealth begins within. The secret is not effort but alignment. When you assume the feeling of abundance, when you live from the end as though your desire is already fulfilled, when you let go of how and trust in the unseen process, you awaken a power that transforms everything. The outer world bends to the inner vision. What you repeat with emotion becomes fact. When you stop questioning, doubting, or forcing, and instead feel it real again and again, you become magnetic. And when you give thanks not to manipulate but to acknowledge the truth that it is done, you complete the manifestation. You are not separate from what you desire. You are the operant power. You are the source. Live, breathe, and move as if the wealth you seek is already yours. And you will watch life mirror that belief with precision and grace. Way to say thanks in closing. Thank you for walking this journey of awakening with me. May you rise boldly into the version of yourself who no longer waits, no longer hopes, but knows. The power is within you. It always has been, and now it is time to use it.